All right. Hello and ni hao, everyone, and welcome to today's Sichuan 101 masterclass that I'm Linda over here, am teaching along with my friend Annabelle. So we are so excited to welcome you to this hour of talking about our absolute favorite cuisine, which is Sichuan food. So now, cards on the table, I am Sichuanese, I was born in Chengdu, so I am very, very biased when I say I think this is one of the best cuisines in the entire world. But hopefully by the end of this webinar, I will also have convinced you that this is definitely something worth trying. So you're probably also here because you want to hear a little bit about how Sichuan food can hit that sweet spot between fast, healthy, and delicious. And of course, we want to actually roll up our sleeves, right? And start making some of those dishes, bring that authentic flavor home, but not run into any of the stressful tasks that sometimes come out of the woodwork when we start thinking about cooking, especially cooking something that may not be familiar to us. So this class is not going to be for you if you hate spicy food, right? We are going to be in class today learning about how to make my family's 5-minute chili oil sauce, or if you don't like free content followed by a super valuable offer. So I will, at the end of class, be opening my Sichuan cooking club called Panda Cub Diner open to enrollment, and Annabelle and I will be shipping free of charge to everyone who joins a limited edition print that we collaborated on for that chili oil I mentioned, as well as my 8 recipe cards that I use all the time in my own kitchen. Now, we will start today's class off with a guest star and also Annabelle's absolute favorite movie, Ratatouille. So if you've seen Ratatouille, please let us know in the chat. And if you haven't, totally fine. All you need to know is that the main character is a prodigy little chef named Remy, and he takes his formerly kind of culinarily inept friend Linguini through the process of becoming this awesome chef by, literally being on his head and whispering in his ear, as well as directing his movements. And so Remy is going to run a contest for everyone here. So the prize, which is going to be his personal services for an entire year, he's going to pop into your kitchen and just, teach you step by step how to do everything. He's going to do things for you so you don't have to stress about, the chores that usually come with cooking. So this awesome prize is going to go to the first home cook who can whip up 5 delicious dishes in the theme of Sichuanese. 菜菜, says Mushu. And Panda goes, just what I wanted, because Panda, of course, is also Sichuanese obsessed. Now, there are 2 avatars that you can choose, right, to start this contest on. So we have Overwhelmed Kev and I Got This Jen. So Kev is a software engineer by day and kind of, home chef, home cook by night. Although his cooking is very much he's either really, really into it or he cooks once and then goes 3 months without touching the kitchen again. And so he, very excited, right? Like starts to plan his menu. He goes on YouTube, looks up a bunch of videos, like pulls up a bunch of blogs, Walks of Life, great blog, by the way. And then remembers that his, yeah, got him a cookbook a year ago. And so after he finally, settles on his menu, he goes to his pantry, throws it open, and it turns out that it is empty. And that is because he hasn't cooked in 3 months, right? So then he goes all the way to the grocery store, spends 2 hours trying to navigate the aisles and find Sichuan peppercorn. Like, where the hell do you even find that, right? And by the time he is done, he has dropped $150. He comes home and he still has 3 more hours of cooking and prep in front of him. And you know what? At this point, let alone cooking and prepping, he doesn't even really want to eat anymore. And so he doesn't even get started, right? All of this stuff just is too much. So then we have Jen. Jen same exact desire to make these 5 fabulous dishes, but a different approach. So luckily for her, she already has the pantry pre-stocked with the ingredients that she needs. And luckily, she also has a curated list of go-to dishes that she can create with her secret weapon, which is this drizzle on anything Sichuan sauce that I call panda sauce. That is the all-in-one sauce that unlocks a whole dinner party worth of dishes. So here's the thing. We all have a little bit of Kev and a little bit of Jen in us, right? So Kev and Jen are actually composites of some of my past students in the Panda Cup Diner, and they were definitely kind of the before and after versions of myself. So ni hao and hello again. If we have not met before, hi, I am Linda, and I am the author and creator of Panda Cup Stories, which is this Chinese culture and food and mental health focused webcomic that I publish on Instagram. And I also, as of this year, run a Sichuan cooking club called the Panda Cub Diner. And this is where we will be drawing a lot of the recipes that we're sharing today. And then today I have Annabelle with me from across the table, and I am recording at her studio. So she and her kitties are going to be keeping me company, and we're going to be taste testing some of the dishes after we finish recording this session. So now, cards on the table. I am not a professionally trained chef. So did not go to culinary school, haven't cooked in famous restaurants. And in fact, for most of my life, I've had a very fraught kind of love-hate relationship with food. So love, I loved watching it made. I loved eating it. Food Network was one of my favorite things to have on in the background. And I really like collected cookbooks like there was no tomorrow. I probably have 20 sitting on my shelf right now. And of course, when it came to eating, especially Chinese food, absolutely no portion control, the love and light of my life. However, when it came to actually making this stuff, that was an entirely different story. So I actually spent most of my 20s, honestly, either toggling through ramen or PB&J or cold cereal for dinner, because at the end of the day, I was just so exhausted and drained that I, like couldn't even sometimes muster up the energy to order out. And by the time I really did pull out my phone, everything was closed. And so I honestly became trapped in this vicious cycle of my own making. And I really often longed for the home cooked meals that I grew up with, but never got around to making, either because I was too drained, I didn't have ingredients on hand, or I hadn't made this food in so long with my parents that I didn't think I could do it again. And so this was really kind of my status quo until over the pandemic when things really came to a head. So, like we were all in quarantine, I was living by myself, and there also was just what seemed to be a rising sweep of anti-Asian sentiment across the city and across the country at large. And I was not able to go home because my parents are older, right? And so I got super, super homesick. And one of the things that really connected me to home again was cooking with my parents and my family, like via FaceTime and Zoom. And all of that kind of birthed what I now call the Panda Cub Diner System and my Panda Cub Cooking Club, which is really the solution I created when I streamlined my kitchen and brain for Sichuanese cooking. So these are the ADHD-friendly recipes that I now make when I go home, right? Or when I'm just like by myself in my kitchen. They're things that are very low executive function that I can whip up quickly. And I probably already forgot to mention this in the beginning when I had planned to, but I am diagnosed with ADHD. I was diagnosed in adulthood, and we are recording this today on October the 1st. So at the end of this class, I'll also be giving some ADHD-friendly cooking strategies. So I am so excited to welcome you to our Sichuan101 Masterclass. And if you're not watching the live stream, you will be watching this as part of a live pre-recorded broadcast, which means that this is not me speaking to you in real time, but I or my lovely team member April will be in the comments hanging out with you and answering questions. So go ahead and pop in and say hi. All right, so we are going to break all of my Sichuanese home secrets down for you here so you can eat Sichuan food forever, or at least whenever you want or whenever the craving strikes. So we're going to start class off with a myth buster, which is that Chinese food in general is, unhealthy or junky. And this is something that unfortunately many people in the West still believe. So we're going to touch on that first. And we're also going to kind of dig into Sichuan food and how, you might think that it's just very spicy and mala, but that's not the complete picture. So I really wanted to start off the class with this because an article that was in all of the newspapers early in 2020 was something that really kind of also kickstarted my whole, I am going to really dig into and celebrate the food I grew up with journey. And there was this rather hipster restaurateur health coach in New York who announced that she and her husband were going to open a clean Chinese restaurant. So, all the Chinese food you love to eat, but instead of making you feel icky and bloated and gross, they're going to make it clean and reinvent it, right? And I had some thoughts about that. So as a comic artist, I collaborated with another friend of mine to respond to the folks who think that Chinese food can be improved, right? Hashtag clean Chinese, to which we say, clean the toe. There were some people in the comments who are like, Panda should probably invest in anger management classes, which, may or may not be true. But to that, Panda also says that maybe you should invest in some Chinese cuisine history lessons. And so that is what we are going to actually do today. So before we get cooking, which is going to be the next part of our class, we're going to do a little bit of a mini dive into Sichuan food history. So I am going to hand my mic off to our third instructor who has pre-recorded me and let her take it away. There is an old saying that goes, 南甜北咸 东辣西酸. I won't get into the weeds of exactly how accurate this is, but suffice to say that the tastes and traditions of Chinese cuisine are often influenced by geographic region. And what we call Sichuan food, or cai cai, comes from the southwestern region of China, which is the Sichuan province and Chongqing municipality, so Sichuan and Chongqing. And for reference, size-wise, Sichuan and Chongqing are around the same size as California plus New York State, squished together, so about 219,000 square miles each. Fun fact, Chongqing used to be part of Sichuan province and was Chengdu, my hometown's, rival for Sichuan's top culinary capital. However, now that it is its own municipality, it is no longer part of Sichuan, so Chengdu wins. Which is to say, culinarily speaking, Sichuan and Chongqing are still one family. So when we think of Sichuan food, that is the food that comes from Sichuan and Chongqing. Diverse as it is, if I had to summarize Sichuanese cuisine into one word, that word would be ma la, or mala. If you came into this course with even a general understanding of Sichuanese cuisine, you'll probably already be familiar with mala. So mala is literally translated into numbing and spice, or numbing spice, and it's this mouth-watering blend of spicy, zingy, tingly, and mouth-numbing flavor that is unique to Sichuan cuisine. The ma in mala means numbing, and this numbing sensation comes from the huajiao plant. So huajiao is literally translated as flower pepper, but in the West, it's more commonly known as the Sichuan peppercorn or prickly ash. This fragrant spice is the thing that causes that pins and needles feeling that dances on your tongue and lips. Apart from making your lips tingle, the Sichuan peppercorn is also a symbol of fertility in China because the plant bears a lot of seeds. So if you ever get the chance to attend a wedding in Sichuan, particularly rural Sichuan, chances are that you will see the newlyweds showered with handfuls of peppercorn, Sichuan peppercorn, and peanuts. So this is very similar to the tradition of throwing rice on the couple in the West. So I guess no matter where you are, we love to scatter agricultural products to promote prosperity and fertility. No pressure, new couple. Now, the la part of mala means spicy or hot, and it also in slang usage means spicy or hot in terms of appearance. Anyway, this spice comes from the fiery red chilies that Sichuanese folk love to put in almost everything. And this actually has to do with where Sichuan is located. Sichuan is a beautiful province filled with majestic mountains and winding rivers, but it also happens to be very damp and chill in the winter and hot and muggy in the summers. In traditional Chinese medicine, damp and chill is a big no-no. And this is because it is thought that chilly dampness really disrupts the delicate yin-yang balance of the body and can sap your energy and make you sick. So while in the West, we may swear by an apple a day, keeping the doctor away, in Sichuan, it is thought that guzzling down flaming hot chilies to drive out the moisture and dispel the cold will help keep us healthy. And of course, that folk wisdom is around the same as apple day, keeps a doctor away. So yes, eat as many chilies as you want, but also take your medicine. All right, so that was a little bit of Sichuan food history. Now, the mala flavor profile that we talked about, that is the famous flavor that Sichuan cuisine is known for, but that isn't the entire picture. So the Sichuanese dinner table very much focuses on balance and harmony, right, into this symphony of colors and flavors. So if we have a pretty strong flavored dish, like something drizzled with this, really rich chili oil-based sauce, then we're gonna lighten it out with some stir-fried veggies, maybe a little bit sweetened umami dish like fanjijidan, which is prevalent across all Chinese cuisines. And we're going to kind of like cut in between those bites of intense flavor with fragrant, fresh, warm rice. However, since today we are doing a Sichuan 101 class, we are going to focus on the mala flavor here, which is what we are going to talk about next in our Mythbuster. So our second Mythbuster of today is that if you wanted to achieve authentic Sichuan flavor, then you have to spend hours in the kitchen trying to craft it and make it right and buy a bunch of ingredients that will take you forever to find, forever to order, and you'll probably never use again after you try and recreate this dish. Now, right? Nobody got time for that. And the thing is, I really get where this is coming from, right? Because when we try and make something new, we still try and do what we already know we love, which is often the dishes that we go order at Chinese restaurants, at Sichuan restaurants, right? But the problem is a lot of these dishes are not very beginner friendly. So take mapo tofu, the crowning joy of Sichuan home cooking, which is something I cook in my dining, or which is something I teach in my dining club, but not until quite a bit later. So mapo tofu is, a multi-ingredient, over 14 ingredient dish, and it's something that requires a lot of simultaneous action and steps. And if you don't really get the timing right, your aromatics might burn, right? So this is a lot to take in at once, especially if you're a beginner cook, but even if you're not, right? If you're unfamiliar with the tools and ingredients. Now with something like huiguozhou or twice cooked pork, another Sichuanese classic, but the way it's traditionally made is actually we would, cook up these succulent cuts of meat. Originally, they were to be offered to our ancestors, right, as offerings to those who have passed. And then afterwards, those of us who are living would then slice it up and then refry it and recook it. And this is something that happens over the course of a day. And it's not really a dish that is the best to start out with if you're craving and wanting to eat immediately a Sichuan meal. And lastly, there's dandanmian, one of my favorite absolute dishes, a simple street snack that you can find anywhere in Chengdu, not so simple to make at home, right? So then you come to the actual gathering of these ingredients and catch 22. So if you're like me, you grew up in a smaller town, and me in Georgia, you go to your local grocery store and the international aisle is teeny weeny, right? And if there is a Sichuan sauce, it's probably kind of shady. You don't really know if you're really getting what you want. And so you get this idea of, oh, I'll just go to an Asia Mart instead, right? Your local H Mart. Or for us, like we had to pile into the car and drive 2 hours to Atlanta to go grocery shopping. And then you just get brand paralysis. So I remember my mom sending me off to find a jar of something. And, I could speak Chinese, but I would never want to be back there again in those shoes. So with all of this, a perfect storm of ingredient confusion, lost at the market, 6 hours of time commitment, no wonder people get stressed. But the good news is that you can totally start simple with Sichuan food. So instead of having to procure all the things, which, you might need to gather a number of different ingredients if you're cooking your way through the entirety of all Sichuan cuisine has to offer, which again, like is what I'm doing, but slowly, month by month. But to start, all you need is what I call the Sichuan starter pack, or these 8 ingredients. Now, this is because Sichuan cooking, especially family style Sichuan cooking, are built on a mere handful of ingredients that are then combined in various ways to create diverse flavor profiles. But at the end of the day, it's still the 8 same things over and over again. And so this really allows you to shrink down that time, take a fraction of time to prep and cook these absolutely wonderful dishes. So now 6 of these core 8 can be pretty easily purchased at your local grocery store or online, right? So you have your aromatics here. So garlic, scallion, ginger, you can have those on your local grocery shelf as well as soy sauce and sesame oil. Now, Chinese black vinegar or Xinjiang black vinegar, you might have to order offline or online, sorry. But in a pinch, you can also substitute balsamic, aged balsamic as well. So the 2 things that we're really going to concentrate on in class is our Sichuan peppercorn, right, which provides the ma flavor, and our homemade chili oil. So these are the left hand and right hand, probably to that opposite, but these are, right, the left and right hand of creating that ma la, that spicy, numbing flavor profile that we absolutely love in Sichuan cuisine. And as a slight tangent, Mala is also the name of one of my Kit Kats. This one is named Howl. All right, so first we have our huajiao, which we already learned a little bit about in our Chinese history segment. Now, the traditional way of adding this flavor to your dishes is to toast these peppercorns up, these whole peppercorns up, and then grind it into a very fine powder. So I do offer a tutorial on how to do this in my Panda Cup Diner e-course, which is part of the club. And I actually have my yaya walking us through how to do that. But if you want a shorthand, then I would really suggest using Sichuan peppercorn oil, which is a distilled oil that perfectly conveys that ma flavor without you having to do a bunch of the extra work to be able to get it into a fine enough powder to add to your dishes without putting in like landmines of whole Sichuan peppercorn. So for those of you who are interested in getting the oil instead of grinding your own pepper, I would really recommend 50 Hertz Foods. So this class is not sponsored by them, but to be transparent, the CEO is a friend of mine, but he makes absolutely wonderful product. And these bottles last for a long time because a little bit of this oil goes a really long way. So I think I ordered my last batch like 3 months ago, and I've only used maybe a quarter of my bottle. All right, So the next part of mala, right, is our chili oil, which is going to be our first recipe that we're sharing and cooking along with today. So I will actually hand the video and microphone over to me and Annabelle from this past weekend, where we collaborated on one of her videos. All right, here we go.
And now we will jump into the how-to part of the chili oil.
Perfect. I use this Korean chili powder that is very fine and not super spicy. Crushed red pepper flakes that you can just get at any normal grocery store. And finally, white sesame. And of course, we're going to be using some oil. So today we're using canola oil, but you can use any oil with a high smoke point. So, peanut, veggie, avocado. Actually, my parents have been using a lot of because Costco has been having a big sale. And my parents never use measuring utensils, right? So the ratio is 1:1. Oh, hello there, Bambi.
Anytime he hears some kind of lid coming off, he's
okay.
like, for me?
About 1/3 of a cup, I'm using a little less of crushed red chili flakes. So if you didn't have, access to an Asian mart, I would just put some chili flakes in the blender. The reason why we also want some ground fine, it helps release the flavors a lot more easily the finer it is. So I'm just gonna put about this much in. Annabelle and I are also sharing this recipe card as well in the free class that we're teaching. So, don't worry about jotting down the measurements. We'll have that for you. The panda and Hedgie, as well as our little helpers. First, I would put in the chili powder and you shake it flat. This is gonna make your kitchen smell amazing. So then we take the crushed red pepper, and then we are just gonna put enough sesame to create a thin layer on top. So we'll see if we actually need this much. We might not. That looks good. When we're adding hot oil in, we want the sesame to fry and release its aroma first. If you don't have a wok, that's totally fine. You can also use, something like this. We used about 1/3 of a cup of the powder and the flake. So the oil is going to be 3 times this measurement. I'm gonna turn this onto high for now. Ooh, okay,
well, I heard
that's good. Yep, so you saw it sizzle a little, so now I'm gonna just turn it down to like medium-low. Okay. Okay, so keep stirring.
Bubbling.
These ear handles are amazing.
It smells so good.
This is also a really nice gift if you know someone who loves spicy food. Make them like a homemade batch and just bring it over. And it makes the perfect kind of like handmade gift.
I could easily see this just being like, I would throw a tablespoon into any stir fry.
Yep.
And that is it, my friends. I love how simple it is. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would love to learn more, this Saturday, tune into our class at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, where Linda's going to show you how to make some basic dishes incorporating this chili oil. And I will be there to hang out and chat, do a
all right, so that is today. We are recording this today on the first day of ADHD Awareness Month. So that was our homemade chili oil tutorial. And I see that some of you have already put questions in the comments. I'm going to continue on with class right now, but I'll circle back at the very end to address all of those comments and questions at once. All right. So if you were taking notes and you missed some steps, that's all right. We will be sending out a series of emails after this class is over with more information about, Panda Cup Diner. And in the postscript, we'll be attaching all of the recipes that we shared today. So the really cool thing, right, about Sichuan home cooking is that our dishes are very cumulative. So they're basically building blocks. And once you master one, it's even easier to master the next. So, right, we just mastered our starter mission, which was the 5-minute chili oil. And so next we're going to move on to what I call the drizzle on anything panda sauce, which is used in so many dishes. And so this I'm going to play a clip from the Panda Cup Diner e-course as well, because all of these recipes are bookmarked and organized in that library. So one sec. Here we go. Is take the small dish you prepped and combine a pinch of salt, teaspoon of sugar, a pinch or more of Sichuan peppercorn powder. This is really to taste if you like it more numbing or less. A teaspoon of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of chili oil, and if you include more sediment, that makes it spicier. Less is less spicy. And then 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce and 1 teaspoon of Chinese black vinegar. So go ahead and give this mixture a good stir with your chopsticks. And this is 1 serving of Panda's chili oil sauce, which we will use for our dumplings today, but you can also use them in noodles, atop of eggplants, etc. Step 5, basically our last step. Plate or put in a bowl those dumplings or pot stickers and wontons and drizzle it with the panda sauce you just made and garnish with the green spring onions. And it will be oh so pretty and oh so delicious. So that panda sauce, right? Like we drizzled it on top of dumplings in that video, but really it goes on everything. And what I really also love about my recipe cards is that they're great for beginners. So some of my fellow students have a deck of them in their kitchen, and it's great for handing off to a partner or a spouse or an older kid who is maybe not super well versed in Sichuan cuisine, but loves the taste. And then they can basically make it themselves. So again, the drizzle on panda, drizzle on panda sauce. Oh my goodness, I am tired and I totally forgot to start my video. All right, here I am again. So the drizzle on anything panda sauce is really that magic weapon we talked about before that can unlock an entire dinner party's worth of food. So you can drizzle it on something like noodles or dumplings to make an all-in-one meal. If you're feeling something a little crisper and more veggie oriented, you can put it on top of chopped cucumbers and just add a little bit of minced garlic, and that'll change the flavor up and it'll still be very delicious. You can drizzle it on any sort of steamed veggie or even like, boiled veggie, and that's going to immediately punch that flavor up and very much convince your non-veggie loving family members to eat it. At least that's what happened to me as a kid. And my absolute favorite is drizzling it on top of either cubed rotisserie chicken from the store or cubed tofu if you're vegan. And then you add some tingly peanuts to it, scallion stems, and with rice, it's absolutely divine. All right. So basically what I'm saying now is once you master the beginning, you can very quickly start to walk, run, and off you go, right? You are now a certified beginner Sichuan home cook. You got this. Bye-bye. Except that's not always the case, is it? Right? So this, right, everything that we talked about here, I knew growing up. I grew up in a Sichuan household. I grew up eating all of these dishes. I even was in charge of making the sauce as a kid, right, for my parents when they were prepping other parts of the meal. Yet, for most of my early adulthood, coming home and dinner time looked a little bit like this, right? Whoops, pantry is open. There's also nothing really to eat in the fridge. And honestly, I'm so tired. Like, I already changed. Should I put on actual clothes again and go to the store? And at that point, I'm so kind of paralyzed by choice and I'm so tired that even ordering out sometimes seems a little too much. So I sit my butt down on the couch, I pull up my phone or I put up Netflix and I start scrolling to see what's on. And before I know it, hours have passed, everything has closed, and yeah, so just cereal for dinner without any milk because I also ran out of milk. So really what I want to share for the rest of this class is some of the things that I realized as someone who went from not cooking at all to cooking almost every day and actually loving it was that there are some things that get in the way mentally as well as physically for us that mean even the thought of making food is a little bit disastrous. So, and this is really what I want to evangelize on for the last part of today's webinar. And we are also filming this today on October 1st, ADHD Awareness Month. So a lot of what I'm about to share are things that I learned to do for myself that worked for my ADHD brain. But I truly believe that this will also help everyone, not just ADHDers. All right, so with all of that said, what I'm saying is that often we think we're like this because we're lazy or we're incapable. But the thing is, laziness may not be the issue, and often it's not, right? And so that leads us to the very last myth that I'm sharing today, which is that cooking really is not just about the how to, right? Like we all know the how to. We have access to Google, to YouTube, so much information at our fingertips. But really, what's stopping us is the things that get in the way. And so, here are the reasons why or, maybe we have a partner who doesn't cook at all. And these might be some of the reasons why we actually think we hate cooking, but might not really hate cooking. Or if you like cooking, why is it still so hard to get back into it if you haven't done so in a while? And so this really came, I think, from an aha moment that I had during a conversation with one of my ADHD coaches, which is that cooking as an activity actually hits on every single one of these executive function tasks that are really impaired for me as an ADHDer. But also, there are also things that people in general struggle with at the end of a long day when they are very mentally drained, right? So that is you if you are a full-time working professional, even more so if you are a person with a job with a family as well. So at the end of a long day, the last thing we really want is to be so overwhelmed with decision fatigue and then still have to spend extra brain calories trying to decide what to make, scroll through all of these blogs with like people's life stories before they actually get to the ingredient list. And really, when we just want to sit down and relax, the thought of cooking actually means all of these things kind of exploding into a to-do list in our head. And right, it's no wonder that a lot of us keep defaulting to takeout or meal kits or cereal for dinner. Now, what we're going to look at is, how do we go from having great intentions, but then flaming out and not really reaching our goals and feeling bad about it, to really build systems instead of goals to make cooking a joyful part of our life. And this is really about finding the time, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that, even if you're busy, and also motivation to make it part of our daily lives. So, all you need really, I promise, is 10 to 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week if you want to do all of those things at once to transform your life with what I call these 4 stepping stones of cooking with joy. So if you want to be able to whip up Sichuan food whenever you want without having to prep and cook and stress for hours, we are going to go over this 4-part system. I want to give everyone a sort of bird's eye view of what the Panda Cup Diner system looks like. And this is the only formula really that you'll need to make easy and authentic Sichuan food in this case. But honestly, I'm really looking forward into kind of spreading out into other cuisines as well. And so for those, I follow the exact same system for this as well. So that is first, right? Like find your reason why, center yourself, then order your space as well as your materials, separate all of those things, divide and conquer, and finally make the dish by making it easy, interesting, and social. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the first stepping stone, which is really to find your why and get motivated. And often this is something that people already do, right? But when we are finding it hard to get started, it's helpful to kind of come back to what food really means to you. What are some of the reasons why we really love making food, why we love eating it? And often it's because it connects us to our families, right? It's a meal that we want to make to show our love for our partner or our children or our parents. And the second part of what I really walk my students through is once you have that emotion in mind, right? Then pick a date and a situation that puts you in that driver's seat to create a meal that scratches that itch. So, for example, these are my two past students, Danielle, Chinese American like me as well. She wanted to create kind of a table spread for her family over the holidays. She was planning to go back and visit. So for her, that was her reason, and she matched it with a date that she wanted to accomplish this goal by. So she actually bookmarked and set her calendar for November and December to go through the course for someone like Rob, right? So Rob, his wife is from China, and he wanted for their anniversary to be able to cook her a table full of her favorite hometown dishes. And so I didn't want to share his anniversary date here, so I just picked February 14th, Valentine's Day. But then that was, another lovely intention, but then made real by attaching a date to it. So for a lot of us ADHD folks, right, we have problem sometimes spacing out things, like everything feels like it's now. And so if, I don't have time to do it this week, then you either just like never get it started or you write it off as impossible. And kind of what I help me and my students work through is, right, like finding a safe time and space to then work towards the goals that you want. And for this, I wanted to share this piece of feedback that Rob shared, which was just so heartening. So he said that his meal got a big thumbs up from the wife. The Sichuan style mapo tofu and cucumber was very much to her liking. All right. So the second part of the stepping stone, right, is to put your environment in order. And so this is in two different senses. So the first is actually going online to order the tools and the pantry staples that you need. And if you join the diner, I also have all of these pre-formulated into shopping lists with links. So all you need to do is go in, click your link open, cart it, and buy, so you don't have to sort of do all the legwork on your own. And then the second part of this ordering stepping stone is putting your space in order, because often environment trumps motivation. So it's not always about just, revving your up, revving yourself up or psyching yourself up to do something. It's having this wonderful canvas that invites you to do it. So I also offer this 15-minute, 15-minute, 15-minute system for you on a daily basis to keep your kitchen kind of under control. Because often we avoid cooking, not really because we hate the activity itself, but because rather all those tasks that come out of the woodwork drain our motivation before we even begin, right? Because who wants to cook with a dull knife, dirty dishes in the sink, and, do I need a wok for this dish? Like, do I need to season a wok? What is seasoning a wok anyway? And so I guess I'll cook later, but later never comes. And so the way we really get around that is first I offer you, right, like a roadmap of exactly what to buy, how to season your wok if you want to, season it, and what other pans to use if you don't want to. And then this is something else that I recommend that is great for ADHDers, but also good for people who, have a pretty busy schedule, but aren't like the greatest at carving out time to do something, which, let's be honest, it's pretty boring, right? Most people don't love to clean. And so this hack is basically called body doubling, or it's a tip. And so this is literally finding someone else, right? Like a friend or, maybe even a stranger to clean with you. And for the stranger part, what I mean is, right, like for Panic of Diners, I host this monthly Zoom session where we all get aligned together and clean together. But if you can't make that session, there is a really great website called focusmate.com, which pairs you with a virtual stranger who is also committed to doing something for an hour, and you basically both turn your cameras on, tell each other what your goals are, and then you just go do it. And a lot of people also use this for cleaning. So I highly recommend you check that out if you think this might be something that is helpful for you. Because at the end of the day, right, a tidy kitchen is a welcoming space. And with a prepped and ready canvas, it is time to let your creativity flourish. Now, the third stepping stone is probably the most kind of neurodivergent ADHD friendly informed hack that I'm sharing, which is to really separate, divide and conquer. So that means separating planning versus doing, and also separating, honestly, feeding yourself from the act of cooking with joy. So this kind of comes back to, right, the uh, thing that gets in the way is often trying to do everything at once when you are already at a place where your executive function capabilities are pretty drained. And so, really, the culprit behind this again is trying to do too much at once, right? And then you end up blaming yourself for not being perfect or not, like, I know this will make me happy. Why can't I do it? Well, that's because everything does not have to be now. And the new approach that I really offer and offer to my diners is, on one hand, right, this date night roadmap approach centered around creating and exploring a dish that you're excited about. And as a bonus, this can also be 3 date nights in one. And so this would look something like this, right? So on Friday, same thing as before, you go grocery shopping and give yourself permission to mindfully get a dessert that you love, a bottle of your favorite wine, or sparkling cider, and any sort of snacks that you want. And perhaps that night, right, your date night is a cute night in, you order takeout, you eat that dessert that you chose out, that you choose for yourself, and you watch like a lovely movie at home. And then the next day, right, can be what I recommend, being a tidy party. So this is, you have a dinner party on Sunday, or you have your date coming over and you want to cook for them. And so you put on a musical, right? And you maybe tidy and dance and listen to a podcast. And by the end of that tidy party, either with yourself or with someone else, your kitchen is sparkling, your canvas is prepped, and go out to dinner, right? Don't touch your kitchen, keep it prepped, and go out to dinner with friends to celebrate, right? Go to hot pot or Korean barbecue or whatever it is that you want. And so finally, you get to Sunday, the cooking date. And this is where, right, like the joy of cooking comes, because past you has already picked up all of the ingredients, has cleaned the kitchen, and now all you need to do is really go pick up some flowers, maybe wine for the table, and then pull up this step-by-step, often illustrated roadmap of creating a wonderful, cozy dinner by candlelight if you want to eat it by candlelight. And so this type of roadmap is really what has really worked well for me, and my students also love. And so we have a lot of different ones to choose from within the Panda Cup Diner. Everything from a meal for two to if you want to host, a bigger gathering. This is how we do it step by step, Friday through Sunday. And I wanted to share words from another former student of mine, Alex, who really feels like the investment in Panda Cup Diner paid off for her and her family, because Sichuanese date night has become a weekly routine. So her husband is from Sichuan, and they absolutely love being able to cook some of the dishes that he grew up with and she absolutely loves, even though they live in a part of the United States that isn't that it isn't very easy for them to access Asian restaurants and Sichuan restaurants in particular. All right, so the last part of our roadmap is, right, make it. We are going to make our food. And we really do this by, again, finding that sweet spot between this is easy, but not boring. This is interesting, but not overwhelming. And this could be a really fun social activity, but it's also something that won't be anxiety provoking for you if, as an introvert, I'm a fellow introvert, you don't want to be social all the time, but you still want to be able to enjoy great food. And so this is something that we kind of workshop together to hit all of those 3 areas by first exploring something new as a group every single month. So on the last Sundays of every month, we come together as a group and pick one dish that we want to focus on. And then I will again make that Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of date night meal plan, date night plan for everyone that you can either follow on your own or log into Zoom live, and we'll kind of go over it together. And I/Panda will also do as much of the planning as possible for you, right? So we plan the menu, we create that shopping list for you, we find and we link, right, the like either Amazon or Whole Foods or like whatever your delivery is items. So all you need to do is click cart and buy, and you don't have to spend more energy trying to prep for class, because all you really want to do, right, is do the cooking and the eating. And lastly, we prep, cook, and eat together on our monthly Zoom dinner parties. And so, some people love cooking along live with their cameras on. Some people like just hanging out in the chat with their cameras off. But, whatever way you decide to show up, it is always going to be a very welcoming space. And we're going to be so excited to cook with you. And this is feedback from another fellow student, Howie, who his feedback really warmed my heart, because for him, he is someone who started from completely tabula rasa, and he found the experience to be incredibly easy. Like the tools and guide list is exactly what he needed to get started. And he also felt like the classes were a very safe space, right? So if he messes up, he feels it's okay, because honestly, I mess up all the time too. I love cooking. People love my cooking, but I am definitely not someone who is perfect and can chop, garlic in 0.5 seconds flat. All right. And at the very end of all of this, because at my heart, I am an artist and I love making visual things. I will illustrate and send along an illustrated recipe guide of the dishes that we have just learned together, so that you can remember it forever. So if you take one thing away from our webinar today, it is that you can make delicious Sichuan meals a part of your life without having to stress over hunting down ingredients or tracking down overcomplicated recipes. So now the real question is, how can you apply this framework to your own life and create a system that makes cooking your favorite dishes, be it Sichuanese or anything else, a joy instead of a chore? So, let's move from that overwhelmed Kev mindset to Jen. Actually, Kev, you're invited to join us over here. We're all friends. And it is time for you to stop wishing you could make and eat delicious meals at home and start doing it. And this we'll do together by implementing a system that takes the guesswork out of not only how to consistently make your favorite meals at home, but really enjoy that cooking process as well. So I'm so excited to share with everyone here that enrollment is now open for Panda Cub Diner, and I'm actually going to be doing a lifetime enrollment. So if you join today, you will have forever access to all of this content with no annual fees. And so to help you, decide if this is something that you want to invest in, I wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what you'll get immediate access to if you join today. And so there are 3 big things that you'll get if you join today. So the first part is the Panda Cub Diner e-course, which is my self-paced online course, online repository that really covers everything that we talked about today and more. Because at the end of the day, right, like we don't need more information. We have all of that available to us. Today's free class, right, is kind of point in case. But often, how much of that information can we then catch and remember and implement, right? And so that is really what I created the Panda Cub Diner e-course to solve. And so this is going to be your personal roadmap through, becoming a Sichuan home chef. And so this, clicks through to, if you join, you basically get a personalized tracker of all the things that I did to set myself up for success in the kitchen, right? So this includes meal planning. If you need support in meal planning, if you have ADHD like me, then you can work through my 4 elements of a 0 brain calorie meal workshop. And then after that, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the history and story of Sichuan cuisine. I'll teach you what are the major dishes that you should be ordering like a local, with, right, at your next trip to a Sichuan restaurant. And we will also take you step by step through, right, buying those essential tools if you do want to, stack your kitchen up with Sichuan traditional cooking utensils. I have a season your wok tutorial, and everything from your ingredients to how to prep it, to then 5 practice dishes that are organized in beginner to intermediate to semi-advanced mode. So basically what we have here is all of the information that you would previously need to go to different cookbooks for, different Wikipedia articles for, different blogs and different YouTube channels, all streamlined and roadmapped for you in a checkable lesson format. And all of these lessons are also very short, so you can also just watch during lunch break and get through it really in a month. And all right. Okay. So in addition, right, to that personal roadmap where you can get access to it immediately and start digging in, the second part of the Panda Cup Diner is these monthly master classes. So for, right, like your map, this is something that you can do as a solo traveler. But often, if we're going to go with this traveling metaphor, something that makes the journey all the more fun is our fellow travel companions, right? And so this is what these monthly master classes are about. So again, on the last Sunday of every month, we as a group explore a brand new dish together. And so this is also where you get your novelty, right? And these classes are really a done with you experience. And they're one of the most fun parts of the program, because along with the live cook-alongs, I'll usually invite a very good friend of mine or someone I've met recently in the Asian cooking and culture sort of like industry to come and do a mini salon or mini presentation. And those talks are always like super fun. And to give everyone a quick look, all of these master classes are going to be included in the, let me log in again. Yeah, are going to be included in the Panda Cup Diner e-course. So if you weren't able to make a masterclass, no worries. You can scroll all the way down here and access any of the dishes, right, that we have taught in the past. And so this library is going to be growing as I speak. And these are also the full cook-along. So these are the 2-hour live cook-along videos that also include the guest presentations from some of these awesome Chinese American entrepreneurial folk. And the last part of what you'll get if you join today is the fast action bonus. So this is actually only going to be available for those of you who are currently watching the video live. So I will be dropping into the chat right now the link to join if you also want to collect these freebies as well. So the doors are officially open to Panda Cove Diner, and you can get started for just $24.75. So I wanted to lastly walk you through the financial investment you will be making if you decide to join, because I want this to be very clear. I don't want you to feel confused about will I be charged again? What am I actually paying? So the investment is going to include the Panda Cub Diner self-study e-course, which is what we talked about before, right? You're going to have access to a masterclass every single month. So that's 12 per year. And for non-members, this is a $97 experience. And lastly, the fast action bonus, the 8 recipe cards plus the custom print, which are usually $12.50 each. And so the investment for Panda Cup Diner is normally $25 a month or $297 a year. And that's a value of $15.63, right, to $297 if you become a member. But for today only, in that link that I dropped into the chat, I'm offering Panda Cup Diner as a lifetime membership, which means that you only need to pay one time, right, $249 to get access to all of that. Oops, I bumped my hand, to get access to all of that for life. Or if a payment plan works better for you, you can do that as well. And then after your 12 payments are over, this is yours. You get access to it and any additional parts that are added to Panda Cup Diner for no additional charge. And I also really want to share that this, as a small business owner, is a program that I've created that I absolutely love and my students love, and I truly believe that you will get so much out of it. So if you are, even interested at all, but on the fence about signing up, I want to make you as confident and comfortable as possible. And I'll be offering a 1-year money back guarantee. So, if you are going to be traveling, or you might not have time for the next couple of months to get started, but you still want to take advantage of this, lifetime offer that's only available for today, then you can also join, keep it in your back pocket, and start anytime within the upcoming year, right? And the reason I have it as a year instead of a forever is this also really helps, at least in my opinion, and in my experience, provide at least a deadline to getting started at some point. So if you start at any point within the next 365 days and you really don't enjoy it, for some reason it's not working for you, I will happily give you your money back because I truly believe in this program and I know you will love it so much. All right, so to wrap, Panda Cup Diner began as a way for me to teach myself how to make my family's food, but it's really grown into so much more than just a how-to cooking class, right? It's become all at once a roadmap for breaking out of the cycle of dependence on takeout and meal kits, and really has supported me and my students in building a lifestyle that helps us relish the foods that we love to eat. So this really is my love letter to my mama, my baba, and especially my yaya who taught me how to enjoy food. And these are the dishes that I want to pass on to my children. And I'm so, so excited to share this with you. So again, the doors are officially open to lifetime membership in Panda Cup Diner. And the link for both the payment plan as well as the one-time payment now is in the chat. So with this, that brings us to the very end of class. And this timer here is just for me to know when to wrap up Q&A. So I'm gonna start going through comments now and answering the questions that you had. And for those of you who still have some questions, please put them in the chat and I'll answer them now. And so the timer will kind of count down to the end of class. And then this is also when that link that I sent in the chat will expire. So if you wanted to join and take advantage of the lifetime membership, as well as these physical recipe cards that Annabelle and I will be shipping to you, definitely go ahead and click on that link and join today. All right, so let me go through the comments and see what questions people have. Great. Okay, so I see a couple of questions about chili oil. So the first has to do with proportion. So the question was, what are the proportions of the chili flakes, the chili powder, and the sesame seeds and oil? So this really depends actually on how large your jar is, right? So this is the custom print that Annabelle and I collaborated on. So instead of giving, right, a set quantity measurement, because I know everyone is having different size jars, what I recommend is ratios instead. So for example, for this jar here, I used half a cup of the chili powder, half a cup of the chili flake, and then, right, so half, and then the amount of oil that you would use is 3 times one of these measurements. So since we're using half a cup here I would heat up 1.5 cups of oil. And then for the sesame seeds, it's just however much covers the top of your dry sediment mixture. So yes, I hope that's clear. And the second question about the chili oil is also, the difference between the powder and the flake. So really, for us, my family, we use the Korean chili ground powder, usually because it's a little less spicy, but it is able to really like release kind of the fragrance or the xiang of the chili, of the lajiao, haijiao, really well. And the red pepper flakes are more potent and they're more spicy. So if you weren't able to lay your hands on some fine chili powder and you just really wanted to start making chili oil today and you only had chili flakes, you can totally do that. So that what I would recommend is, starting with however much chili flakes, let's go with half a cup again, and then blending half of that in a blender. And so maybe blending a fourth of a cup in a blender until it is fine powder. And the reason why I recommend using a little less if you're going to be using just these chili flakes is that it is quite a bit more spicier than the Korean chili powder. So, if you use the same measurements, you're going to blow your socks off, which is also, that's what you want. You can also do that as well. All right. I'm getting a lot of chili oil questions. The third chili oil question is, right, what kind of oil can I use? And someone asked, can I use olive oil? So I would recommend that you don't use olive oil, partially because olive oil has quite a nice taste to it, right? A unique taste, especially if you're using good olive oil. And first of all, heating it at a very high kind of smoke point is going to affect that taste a little bit. And olive oil in general doesn't have the highest smoke point. So I would usually shy away from using olive oil. And what I would use instead is any sort of kind of like veggie oil or neutral oil with a high smoke point. So that could mean canola oil or just your, generic brand vegetable oil. You can also use avocado oil, which is what my parents have been using a lot, as well as peanut oil. So yeah, so the thing that you really want to choose is an oil with a neutral flavor and a high smoke point. So, don't pick something like coconut oil, which it's obviously very strongly flavored of coconut. So, well, who knows? I don't know. I've never tried it. So maybe coconut flavored chili oil could be amazing, but that would be something that you should experiment with on your own at your own risk. All right. Okay, so, oh, all right, I see another comment about, is there a payment plan? So yes, the payment plan for Panda Cup Diner is the same, if you decide to join later, so not part of our fast action bonus or for today. So for today, the payment plan is on a monthly basis. So every month you pay $24.75. And then that is charged again 11 more times. So basically, if you pay today at $24.75, then over the course of 12 months, you will pay in total $297, which is the normal annual rate for the program. But then after that, like in the link that I'm sharing, if you order it via that link, we have an automation that stops your recurring payment after 12 payment plans. So after that, you have access to this forever and ever. And you can pass it on to your grandchildren if you want, because I will be doing this for a long time, even after I'm gone. Okay, right. My brain just went in a multiple different directions. So yes, so that is the payment plan. If you, decide to join later on, the payment plan then becomes a monthly subscription, in which case every month it's $25 a month. But yes, if you buy today, it is totally yours after a year. Okay. Oh, okay. So I see another question about why is there a price difference between the payment plan and the one-time payment. So the one-time payment, if you buy today with the link in the chat, is $249 instead of $297. And this, so this is like a decision that me and my team made to give people who pay up front 2 months free. And this mostly has to do with kind of administration and management costs on the back end. So often, well, not often, but occasionally with payment plans, people's credit cards expire or something goes on. And we do have like a customer support team, which is basically me and my assistant April, who like we then follow up and really kind of like have to go through a number and back and forths with our customers to get like that sorted out. So basically, if you pay up front, it's like you helping us, avoid all of those issues. And as a small business, that is super helpful to us. And also because this is my first year in business, the pay in full helps me get a cash. This is probably way too much like business information, but thank you for asking. So I'll wrap it real quick. So it helps me also get a cash injection to help further my business and maybe hire some more people to make this experience even better for you. All right, so a question about the recipe cards. So someone said, I'm on my phone and the recipe cards are a little small to see. So can you read them out? Yes. So in addition to the custom chili oil print, which is 5-minute chili oil, I'll also be sharing my other recipe cards. The first one over here on the bottom left is my Sichuan starter pack recipe card. So this is an illustrated guide of those 8 things that I recommend you order to set up your first Sichuan kitchen for success. So the second card is actually another version of this 5-minute chili oil card, and this is the original design. So this is up to you, right? If you want to give this away to a friend, this is also a really nice freebie since you're getting 2 if you take advantage of the fast action bonus today. The third card over here, this yellow one that I'm pointing to, that is the drizzle on anything panda sauce. And so this is probably the card that I use the most in my own kitchen as well. So I just have it stuck to my fridge and it's a shorthand for me to just look at to know how to make my sauce. And so for me, honestly, like at this point, because I make it almost every day, I don't need the card anymore, but I also find it very helpful if I'm trying to make a giant batch of the sauce to use either over the course of a week, or it's a gift that I really like to give friends. If I'm going over for a dinner party, I'll make like an entire jar of the sauce. And so for me, I sort of have this calculus. So when things balloon into larger numbers, I've trouble mentally keeping those proportions correct. So for these cards, it really helps me to make large batches of sauce as well. This pink and green one in the middle is one of my favorite dishes that is not originally Sichuanese. So this is 番茄鸡蛋, 白切鸡蛋, or 西红柿炒鸡蛋, tomato and egg stir fry. And this is another one that I really keep in my back pocket for days where I really want a comfort dish. This blue, dark blue, and purple one is 四川凉面 or Sichuan Liang Mian, called spicy sesame noodles. And that is a great dish for the summer. And so this is also one of the dishes that I have for the 3-day date night roadmap for 2. Okay, here on the bottom right, this orange and red card is my most involved card to date. And so this is the mapo tofu card. So this one is also available in poster sized if you're interested. But this is kind of the crowning jewel of Sichuan home cooking. So all of these recipes are also available in text format via Google Doc. As well as video format in the Panda Cub Diner e-course that you'll have lifetime membership to if you join with the link in the chat today. All right. Oh, and I forgot, the one up here is called cold tossed chicken or cold tossed tofu. So that is a dish that is completely thanks to this drizzle on anything panda sauce. And it's super easy to make and really, really good to bring to potlucks and parties. So those are the cards. So someone's asking, when should I receive them? Okay, so this person is watching obviously on sorry, what is today? October the 1st. I gotta get a little bit of brain fog. Yeah. So they're asking if they'll receive them in time for the holiday. So definitely. Basically what will happen is if you join in the link in the chat, my assistant will see that you purchased via the special link, and she will be reaching out to collect your name and your address. And so depending on when you buy, okay, so this link will only be valid for today, but I'll also be making a version of this available in the, okay, sorry. I should be more organized about this. But yeah, so I will be shipping the next batch of these cards out next week. So that's going to be the 2nd of October if you're watching this on October the 1st, and you will definitely be able to get it before the holidays. Now, if you are watching this recording as part of the e-webinar broadcast, you will still be getting these cards, but depending on when you're watching it, this may or may not be delivered to you right in the fall. So just, mark down the date that you purchased your lifetime membership and then add 2 weeks to that, and you will definitely have received your cards by then. And if not, we will send you a replacement packet for sure. I see a a comment that's like, are you going to make these into a cookbook? I would love to make these cards into a cookbook. So if there are any publishers out there that would like to publish me, I have been submitting applications, so let me know. It would be really cool, actually, if one of you watching as a rebroadcast, and if you're watching by then I have already signed a book deal, but we'll see. I'm manifesting it into reality. All right. Well, okay, so let me see if there are any remaining questions. And again, this timer is like after this timer ends, I'm going to X out of this presentation and the chat's going to go away. So you have basically 1 more minute left to take advantage of the fast action bonus. And really, it's such a good deal. So yeah, definitely do it. But yes, if I missed your question in the chat, I will be going through the chat archives as well, and I'll respond to your questions via email. But yeah, before I let all of you go, I am so glad, so honored that you were able to join us for class today. And I hope that you loved taking a little trip into Sichuan food history and cuisine with me. And I hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of your day. All right. 再见. Goodbye.